Research from the media watchdog Ofcom has found that violent online content is now unavoidable for children, with many first exposed to it when they're still in primary school. The research found that most of this content is shared through social media and group chats, and many of the children said that they're using these platforms when they're below the minimum age. According to the study, videos of school fights being shared on these platforms is very common, with children saying they'd seen more extreme videos of violence, but far less often. Sue Coughlin is head teacher at Haute Capelle Primary School in Guernsey and chair of the island's online safety subcommittee. She says children often can't avoid seeing unsuitable content.
It isn't the children actively seeking it out. My children talk about pop-ups coming up, the next video on YouTube might be inappropriate when they were watching something that interests them. You know, that next function keeps coming up. So these things are coming for our children.
Caroline Allams is the co-founder of NatterHub, an online platform used to teach children about online safety. Hi, Caroline.
Oh, hello.
What do you think of what this report's saying?
Obviously, like many reports on online experiences, lots of sobering content for us all as parents and educators to process. I think it's obviously something that's coming further and further down in age. When we started first working and researching on NatterHub around 10 years ago, the main concerns were around secondary school children. And of course, that's still a concern. But what we're realizing, certainly over the past 4 to 5 years, is that online vulnerability is absolutely a primary school issue, and that age range really need our support and help in order to build the soft skills they need to develop digital resilience and online awareness.
And is violent content online really this common?
Unfortunately, yes, because many children have unfiltered access to the internet, and even when there is concern from parents and carers in the home environment, there is a lot of hoping for the best that their children won't be exposed. Unfortunately, our children are seeing in a lot of inappropriate content, and it really highlights the need for us to, especially with our primary age children, to take this hand-in-hand approach and preempt what children may be exposed to. And I think, like all potentially risky situations for our children, it's so important that we educate our children so that they can avoid the potential pitfalls. And of course, schools are doing wearing many hats and spinning many plates, and as much as possible with everything else they're required to teach, they are including online safety in their curriculum. But unfortunately, I think what this report highlights is that learning at school is a really key focus and something that teachers need permission to teach more of and spend more time on, because it's such an important part of our children's lives. And also learning at home is also really, really critical. So it's really important that parents and carers have access to really helpful information that they can actually use in the home that's going to really empower their children to thrive online.
Well, I mean, this report is saying that this online content is now unavoidable for children. What can we do then? Is it more monitoring of what they're doing online and what they're seeing, making sure we set parental controls? How do we start to avoid this?
Well, first of all, I think as parents and carers, we need to remove automatic access to the internet as much as possible. And really, that's something really simple that can happen. Change of habit and behaviour. If you've got a primary age child in your home, then asking permission to go online can trigger a conversation around, of course, yeah, go online. What are you going to be doing? Can you stay in the room nearby so that I can keep an eye? Really taking that hand-in-hand approach and not giving that automatic access to independent use of the internet. You mentioned filters. Of course, these are really, really important privacy settings. They're not foolproof, unfortunately. They can't be solely relied upon. If you imagine, teaching our children to cross the road just because there's a zebra crossing and traffic lights, we still tell them to look both ways. So it's important that we don't just stick the privacy settings on and think that that's everything taken care of, but they do go so far in communicating to our children as well that this is a potentially risky area. There are conversations to be had around how we protect ourselves when we're forming our online relationships, when we're developing our online identity. So everything that triggers a conversation in the home that is around the potential risk of our children being online is really, really important. And even though having a conversation sounds like a minimal effort in keeping our children safe online, if you've got privacy settings on devices and games and platforms have as much privacy and protection in place as you can get on them, then those conversations become actually critical, because it means that as parents and carers, we are not only parenting our children in a face-to-face environment, we're parenting them digitally as well. And that's a really critical point.
Is there anything that the social media companies can do? I mean, there is a minimum age for young people, is it about like 13? Is that right? Before they actually 13, should be having any social media accounts, try not to get them to look at anything before then. But is the onus solely on the family and the school? Is there anything that these social media companies should be doing?
No, well, of course, we've got the Online Safety Act now, and specifically services must be put in place for specific measures designed to prevent children from encountering what's termed primary priority content. This is all that inappropriate content that we need to protect children from. So yes, there's still work to be done in terms of what the responsibility of the platforms. But again, I think waiting and putting that onus on them from a parenting perspective, just speaking as a parent as well, doesn't seem enough. And I think whilst we are waiting for that to become more rigid and more reliable, I think it's really, really important that we, certainly with our primary age children, we are playing a bigger role in their online experiences and conversing with them and opening up that channel so that when children do encounter content that makes them maybe feel anxious, makes them feel upset, almost even content that might make them feel guilty about seeing it. We have to have that open channel of communication so that they understand they've got a trusted adult that they can share that experience with. And if this happens at a younger age, if these conversations are happening during the primary school years, then it becomes a normal part of our children's development. Sure. Really, if we're not having those conversations until children are teenagers, we know that children become more independent, they want more privacy, they don't want to be questioned as much when they're 13, 14, 15. So it has to start. We need to create an early intervention habit before they get to that point, so that children really understand that their parents and carers are on this journey with them. Sure. And so I can't emphasize enough that starting this as early as possible is really crucial.
Caroline, great to speak to you. Thank you. That was the co-founder of Natterhub, Caroline at Allams, an online platform that is used to teach children about online safety. Have you had this conversation with the younger children in your family? Hopefully they haven't seen any of this, but if they have, how did you open up the conversation? Let us know.